Today, President Joe Biden announced a new rule regarding ghost guns in the United States. Coming up on Cronkite News, we look at Arizona's ghost gun numbers.
Plus, we take a look at how the weight of the U.S.'s vegetable and nut production rests on one insect's shoulders.
Buffalo grass is threatening saguaro cacti. Later, we take a look at Arizona's efforts to slow the fast-growing plant.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Colt Almadova.
And I'm Stonah Meadows. Thank you for joining us. The Biden administration announced today a final rule about ghost guns across the country. These guns are untraceable by law enforcement because they are privately made from part kits and lack serial numbers. This rule will clarify that part kits that are readily convertible to firearms are subject to the same regulations as traditional firearms under the Gun Control Act.
Law enforcement is sounding the alarm. Our communities are paying the price, and we're acting. Today, the United States Department of Justice is making it illegal for a business to manufacture one of these kits without a serial number. Illegal.
Ghost guns do not require background checks and can be easily accessible to people by purchasing building kits online or at the store. Last year, approximately 20,000 suspected ghost gun cases were reported to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. That's almost double the amount reported in 2020. The Phoenix police say they have processed 91 ghost gun cases from 2021 to now. According to an Arizona ATF spokesperson, privately made firearms increased in the last several years, including along the southwest border where they're often trafficked to Mexico. In addition to this new rule, President Biden this morning urged Congress to pass universal background checks for all gun purchases.
Governor Doug Ducey signed a bill that protects sexual assault victims from having to pay for medical examinations needed to collect evidence. Senate Bill 1593 rules victims will not be charged for any medical or forensic interview as well. The bill passed both branches unanimously, with the exception of a few no votes. The county will now handle the costs under the law, using federal money or state funds. The bill also expands the list of sexual offenses that counties are required to pay for to include crimes against youth ages 15 to 17. During Ducey's State of the State address in January, the governor promised to crack down on the practice. In the past, victims were charged as much as $800 for examinations.
According to the USDA, honeybees are responsible for 1 out of every 3 bites of food we take, but they are currently facing dire threats. This year, over 1,000 beehives have been reported missing or vandalized in California. Karen Marroquin traveled to California's farming communities to explain what's happening to the bees and what's at stake.
Here in Fresno County, bees are essential for the growth of a lot of the country's produce, including plums here at 559 Honey Company. But in February of this year, Ben Zentner, a beekeeper in Kingsburg, received a pivotal call from a local farmer.
He told me that I had a beehive knocked over, so came out, took a look at it, ended up seeing that all 4 hives were knocked over and that it was done maliciously, and ended up having 2 of the hives basically die off because of damage, plus I've got damage on equipment.
The vandalization cost Zentner nearly $700, but this isn't the first time that something like this has happened to him, and he's not alone. Rowdy Freeman, Butte County Sheriff's deputy and beekeeper, says that so far in California this year, 1,169 beehives have been reported vandalized or stolen.
It's the perfect crime, it's one beekeeper stealing from another, and it's very difficult for beekeepers or even the general public to be able to differentiate between whether or not it's the legitimate beekeeper or it's a theft in progress.
This is similar to what happened in Zentner's situation.
The other individual was short on a contract and decided that they were going to get easy money and basically steal whole entire semi-load worth of bees.
Bees are extremely important to the agricultural community because without these, farmers and beekeepers wouldn't be able to grow food such as almonds or plums. Over a third of the country's vegetables and 2/3 of the country's fruits and nuts are grown in California, according to state agriculture officials. Many of the crops here depend on bees to pollinate plants and trees to produce food. So honeybees are vital workers here and are often transported from farm to farm to do their job. However, the availability of cropland has been declining, while beehive rental costs are on the rise.
This year, the average price for beehive was probably between $210 and $225 per hive. Some farmers, need a couple hundred. Some farmers need a couple thousand.
Freeman says that's making it easy for thieves to make a lot of money with little effort. Luckily for Zettner, the thieves didn't get away with the crime thanks to GPS trackers that he installed in his beehives, which spared him a huge financial loss.
Of all the hives that were there, I'm going to guess it would have been over $100,000.
And it didn't take much to protect his bees.
The individual devices themselves are, somewhere in the $100, $150 range normally, and then you pay for those activation services, like a monthly fee on those devices. It's kind of a small price to pay to help protect your property and your bees.
Still, Zettner says that beehive thefts and vandalizations are far from gone.
It'll slow it down some, but it won't stop all of it because we can't have a GPS and everything. But, we can do what we can only do.
In Kingsburg, California, Karen Marroquin, Cronkite News.
Law enforcement officials say it's very difficult to investigate these types of crimes because they usually happen in rural areas, but they'll keep working hard to fight against the theft and vandalism.
The Arizona Department of Health Services has tracked COVID-19 hospital information since early in the pandemic. However, the department recently announced that it will no longer report hospital bed capacity data. This comes after the department's interim director explained that hospitals were no longer required to report bed usage after the governor lifted Arizona's state of emergency. The department released a statement saying there were changes for 3 dashboard entries: hospital bed usage and availability, hospital COVID-19 specific metrics, and ventilator usage and availability will no longer be updated. In Arizona, we don't have to worry about the twice-a-year shift between standard time and daylight saving time, but it still affects us. Now, Congress is looking at making daylight saving time permanent, but that's not as simple as it sounds, as Alexia Stanbridge reports from our Washington bureau.
Scott Yates hails the Senate's recent decision to end the twice-a-year shift between standard time and daylight saving time as, quote, a great day for clock sanity. But is it really? While most people like the idea of a year-round standard time, they differ on what the standard should be.
Arizona tried it 55 years ago this summer in 1967, and there was a huge public outcry against daylight saving time.
Under the Sunshine Protection Act of 2021, clocks would permanently move forward to what is now daylight saving time. States could opt out, as Arizona does now, but that presents another problem.
The Navajo Nation will be permanently an hour ahead of Phoenix time.
That's what happens now during daylight savings time. If it's 1 o'clock in Arizona, it's 2 o'clock on Navajo Nation. But on the Hopi Reservation, it's 1 o'clock, which is located inside Navajo Nation. In New Mexico and Utah, they're an hour ahead at 2 o'clock. Confusing? Maybe, but there's more. Most experts agree that locking the clock is a good idea, but they're not all keen on being locked in daylight savings time.
When we sleep at a time that's not aligned with when the sun is telling our bodies that it's time to be awake and sleep, we have what's called circadian misalignment.
Aaron Flynn Evans says staying in daylight saving time can lead to increased risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, strokes, and more long-term health issues. Standard time is safer, she says.
That better aligns with the timing of sunrise and sunset, and therefore it better aligns with how our bodies promote sleep and wake.
But she agrees with Scott Yates that switching back and forth isn't healthy for anybody.
So now we know, with science, we know that the changing, especially in the spring, is really deadly. A lot of people have heart attacks and strokes and workplace accidents.
Shermer Horn, the Arizona State University history professor, says that whatever Congress decides, Arizona is likely to stay the same as it always has.
Why start the day that much farther, into the heat of the summer? So I think we're good.
Yates, who founded the Lock the Clock movement 8 years ago, says he's just happy to see his work may soon pay off.
It's never been great. It's never really done the thing that it was supposed to do.
In Washington, Alexia Stanbridge, Cronkite News.
18 states, including Utah and New Mexico, have laws in place to lock the clock year-round in daylight saving time. But none of those laws can take effect until Congress acts. And the House has not yet taken up the Senate bill.
A grass in Arizona is threatening saguaro cacti. Coming up, we look at efforts to help stop the fast-growing plant.
And also a new name for a new school opening up in downtown Phoenix. Next.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation about things that are happening in Washington and around the country. But it's also a show about issues that are relevant to different communities. How do you think that, as the moderator, I feel this deep responsibility to bring in those other perspectives so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives?
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS.
Arizona State's Thunderbird School of Global Management celebrated both the grand opening of its new downtown Phoenix location and its 75th anniversary last week. As a part of the festivities, the school announced a new name for its downtown headquarters, the F. Francis and Dione Najafi Thunderbird Global Headquarters. The Najafis are both Thunderbird graduates and made a $25 million donation to the school earlier this year. The money will be used to try and educate 100 million worldwide learners by 2030.
One of the most iconic plants in Arizona, the saguaro cacti, is encountering some dangers in our Sonoran desert. Luke Vickery tells us about one specific threat.
Bufflegrass, an invasive plant, is overtaking the habitat of our beloved saguaro cacti. While there are efforts to get rid of it, it may be impossible to eradicate. The saguaro cactus is a symbol for Arizona, but invasive plant species are getting in the way of a plant that usually thrives in the Arizona desert. Saguaro National Park's restoration ecologist Perry Grissom says the biggest threat comes from one plant, bufflegrass.
It's out there, it's just taking the water away from the saguaros, so they're not going to survive long term.
Bufflegrass was brought to arid portions of the U.S. beginning in the 1930s for cattle forage and erosion control. The plant thrives because of its drought tolerance and high seed production. Little thought was put into how it would affect Arizona's native plants.
Kind of colonize these areas between trees and shrubs and cacti in the desert, where those areas are typically barren. Now they're being colonized by bunch grasses, and so it's filling in the space between our saguaros and trees and shrubs.
The record-setting monsoon rainfall last year and predictions of another wet monsoon season means things could get worse for our saguaros.
Last year we had a really tremendous monsoon. We got a lot of rain, like double. And the natives did really well, but bufflegrass did much, much better than they did. It's just like a really strong competitor.
Once we exit monsoon season, the saguaro will struggle to compete with the new, stronger, and more stable bufflegrass. But there is another aspect of bufflegrass that challenges the saguaro. Here in Saguaro National Park, bufflegrass not only competes for the same resources as saguaro cacti, but it can also start wildfires, which can be detrimental to a saguaro cactus.
It might take 200 years for saguaros to blink out on some hillside, but with a fire, they could be gone, overnight, basically.
The national park has plans in place to help mitigate the growth of bufflegrass, but the timing of the treatment is tricky.
Post-summer and early fall, where some treatments have been conducted because there was an opportunity to treat the bufflegrass because it had greened up and was actively growing. And so when you apply herbicide, when it's green and actively growing, that's when the herbicide is most effective.
Now, looking at the rest of the United States right now, we have a little bit of some weather going on in the Midwest right now, and that's actually going to push its way out, and we're going to have a little front come in here across the Midwest, and that's going to be the main story for our weather across the United States for the next few days. Now, looking at the big picture right now, low pressure centered above us, and as that moves south and that centers a little bit more towards the Colorado area, that's going to bring pretty breezy conditions to our area. Now, that will move out, and the breezy conditions will subside by about early Wednesday, and we will have another low pressure system come through earlier, but that will make its way out as well. Now, like I said earlier, a lot of wind right now. We do have a high wind warning right now for most of northern Arizona. And what that's actually doing right now is affecting our air quality. So you can see for tomorrow, unhealthy for sensitive groups. So if you have asthma or any other kind of breathing condition, it might be best to exercise indoors and take some extra precautions these next few days while we have this high wind around us right now. Now looking at our temperatures this evening, 83 degrees at 6 p.m. As we move on into the rest of our evening, 74 degrees is what we're going to see around 10 p.m. Our high temperatures for tomorrow are not going to be as high as we usually see, about 10 degrees below our seasonal average right now with 74 degrees in Phoenix. And those lower temperatures will pretty much range all across Arizona right now as we have that low pressure system really bringing down our temperatures. So 74 degrees, that's going to be the low of the highest temperatures of this next week. And our temperatures are really just going to continue to climb, where we're going to peak on next Monday at 97 degrees for our high temperatures. In the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Luke Vickery.
I'm Ashley Engel, and coming up after break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. We take a look at a trailblazer right here in the Valley when we return.
Your favorite member benefit is getting better and bigger.
This is wonderful.
Over the next year, Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream.
They give us all that they've got.
From your favorite cooking and travel series.
Even the stairs are breathtaking.
To history specials and award-winning documentaries. Better and bigger.
That really is the fun part.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Ashley Engel, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. The NBA regular season came to a close yesterday, and the Suns finished at the top of the Western Conference. Their first matchup in the playoffs will take place Sunday night against one of 4 teams involved in the play-in tournament. The WNBA draft is tonight, and the Mercury have 2 third-round picks. They used their first 2 picks in trades, acquiring Diamond DeShields in exchange for the first-round pick and sending their second-round pick to Indiana. Arizona Wildcats forward Sam Thomas is one of the players that could potentially get drafted this evening. Arizona held their annual spring football game on Saturday afternoon in Tucson. The game featured new quarterback Jaden DeLora, who transferred from Washington State. The players were split into blue and red teams to participate in the annual scrimmage. The coaches got to take a look at the new and present faces playing against one another. Meanwhile, ASU had their own spring game in Tempe. Cronkite News reporter Spencer Chihawk was at Sun Devil Stadium.
While the difference between friend and foe was only in the wool caps worn, the ASU spring scrimmage at Sun Devil Stadium had a little bit of everything, from NFL-bound alumni to hugs to fireworks, and of course, Sparky. While there is no official winner from tonight's contest, ASU fans certainly had their own opinions. If you had to pick a color, gold or maroon, which one is your favorite?
Maroon.
Why maroon? While the Maroon squad unofficially won the night, the red flags surrounding the team remain unanswered on both sides of the ball after a rocky winter on and off the field. With nearly 5 months to find answers to those questions, head coach Herm Edwards took time after the game to focus on what was directly in front of the team.
It's always fun to come into this stadium. It's a special place, and the guys that have been here, you know, since I've been here, these guys have won a lot of games here. They don't know how good it is until they see the fans in here and the advantage we have with our fans. They do a fabulous job for us, making noise, and can't wait to see them again.
We all got an idea of what, Coach Herm is like, wherever he goes, signing autographs and stuff like that. But it was super fun to, see a lot of the kids and the fans and just give back to the community because we're going to need them come this fall, with those big games. We need them to be loud, so it was super fun.
Football will return to Sun Devil Stadium on September 1st. In Tempe, Spencer Chiak, Cronkite Sports.
After winning 4 tournaments in his last 6 PGA Tour events, Scottie Scheffler is the Masters champion. He finished the tournament 10 under par. Now, you may remember Scheffler whenever he won the WM Phoenix Open earlier this year. ASU alum John Rahm finished the tournament 4 over. Her passion for sports and boosting programs has landed this Phoenix native a top spot at GCU. Cronkite News reporter Zachary Larson has more on the new athletic director at Grand Canyon University.
Just 3 miles north of Grand Canyon University is where athletic director Jamie Boggs grew up. After several years at Duke and Georgia State, she found herself back in Phoenix, doing what she loves.
I remember growing up, the only thing I ever really loved was sports. I mean, if you're from Phoenix, and most of us here grew up diehard Phoenix Suns fans, and so I was a Phoenix Suns fan. I decided that I was going to pursue that and maybe not use my psychology degree or my law degree.
Boggs was brought to GCU in 2015 as a deputy athletic director. After leading Georgia State's effort to elevate the school's football program to bowl eligibility, now she's tasked with transitioning GCU from a Division II school to a Division I.
Jamie is unbelievable in terms of what she does behind the scenes to give the athletes in this university the best experience possible, whether they're here for 4 or 5 years. That's what's in the forefront of her mind.
Boggs has hired 3 new head coaches, including men's basketball coach Bryce Drew, who helped the school to its first WAC championship and first ever NCAA tournament appearance in 2021.
Being a coach and then, having an athletic director that really knows the industry, that knows the school, she's been very helpful to me. Again, above all that stuff, I think her moral compass and her beliefs fit perfectly with GCU.
Boggs became the school's first woman named vice president of athletics in April 2021 and is one of 3 female Asian American athletic directors at the Division I level, a feat she hopes will inspire others to be in her shoes one day.
I realize now, and I'm very intentional about making sure that I guess it's not, I wouldn't say pressure, but just being very intentional about, supporting women and minorities who are also looking to be in the athletics director role.
With numerous conference championships since her arrival, the next step is to turn those wins into national championships one day. In Phoenix, Zachary Larson, Cronkite News.
That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Sedona.
Coming up after the break, a 4th potential national park in Arizona. We'll tell you where the park will be and who made the decision.
Your favorite member benefit is getting better and bigger.
This is wonderful.
Over the next year, Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream.
They give us all that they've got.
From your favorite cooking and travel series.
Even the stairs are breathtaking.
To history specials and award-winning documentaries. Better and bigger.
That really is the fun part.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The U.S. Senate unanimously passed a bill that seeks to give Arizona its 4th national park. The bill, introduced by Senators Mark Kelly and Kirsten Sinema, seeks to reclassify Chirokawa National Monument to a national park. Chirokawa is made up of unique rock formations formed from a large volcanic eruption millions of years ago. The monument was established almost 100 years ago, and Senator Kelly says that making the monument a national park would boost tourism in Arizona and create more jobs in the region.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.